Hello, you're playing The Waiting Game. This is the show where we recommend a bunch of stuff to keep you busy until the game you want comes out. This week, Batarangs! So yes, Batman Arkham Origins launches on the 18th of October, letting you squeeze back into the suspiciously tight Batsuit and punch crime in the face. The third in the Arkham series, Arkham Origins, is actually a prequel, meaning Batman encounters some of his most iconic foes for the very first time. But while you're waiting for Alfred to put the finishing touches on the Batcave, what should you check out? Well, let's see, big open world full of punchy, hurty violence. Sounds like a job for sleeping dogs to me. Given it got cancelled in 2011 and then pulled from the grave by a different publisher 6 months later, nobody was really expecting Sleeping Dogs to be much cop. More fool us then, because it's actually really very good indeed. You play as a police officer sent deep undercover to infiltrate the Triads and take them down. And while you may not be gliding about in a cape at any point, the vibrance of the world and the impressive variety of ways you can screw someone up in a fight make Sleeping Dogs well worth a look in. Now obviously, as well as being extremely adept at making thugs swallow teeth, Batman also claims to be the world's greatest detective. No big deal. Another great detective who happens to be good at punching is Adam Jensen, star of Deus Ex Human Revolution. If you haven't played this game already, frankly, you need to catch up. Not only is it a great story exploring the limits of humanity through cybernetic augmentation, but Jensen's skill set is very similar to Batman's, combining raw power with fancy gadgety doodads as he tries to catch those responsible for a deadly assault on his workplace. And there's even a gravelly man voice to boot.
I've also got a dead purist in here.
Also, Jensen's girlfriend gets killed at the start of the game, so he's got someone's death to brood over angrily too. Just like Batman! I probably shouldn't sound this chipper about murder, to be honest. Right, that's 2 games out of the way, so it's probably about time for a bit of literature. Now, Batman, as you probably know, is all about fighting for justice without trying to pursue any personal glory, much like the character Jack Reacher brought to life by Lee Child. Recently adapted for a short Scientologist on the silver screen, Jack Reacher is an ex-military drifter who has a surprising knack for stumbling into criminal conspiracies and blowing them wide open with his fists. Reacher is an intelligent, conflicted character. He's basically what would have happened if Bruce Wayne went into the army instead of, being really rich.
You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger.
Now, frankly, when it comes to structuring this show, I tend to try not to recommend previous iterations of the game in question, or other adventures the main characters may have had, because that's kind of obvious. When it comes to comics, though, well, that can kind of be a confusing minefield. So, from among the myriad number of Batman storylines, you should definitely check out the works of Frank Miller. I mean, okay, yeah, he said all that stuff about the Occupy movement that sort of painted him out to be a bit of a meanie, but there's no denying he can spin a good tale, and when it comes to origin stories, it doesn't get much better than Year One. Documenting the early days of Batman's career, Year One puts you in the same time frame as Arkham Origins, and introduces a much darker Batman than had previously been portrayed, which has had significant influences on the one featured in the Arkham series. In addition, The Dark Knight Returns is another great story set in the same universe, so if you aren't super into comics and you want to get a quick fix without doing too much homework, those 2 are your best bet. Now, we said earlier Batman calls himself the world's greatest detective, but I think deep down we all know that's a load of twaddle. The world's greatest detective is Sherlock Holmes, and if anyone says different, I'd be more than happy to punch them in the face. There are loads of ways to enjoy Sherlock Holmes. You can read the books, play games, watch films, but talking specifically with Arkham Origins in mind, the newish BBC adaptation is definitely the best way to go. Set in modern day, the show plays around a lot with graphics, bringing up bits of information on screen, allowing you to get inside Holmes' thought processes, not unlike the detective mode that makes a return for Arkham Origins. Sherlock also stars Benedict Cumberbatch, which is a good thing because it's a really fun name to say. Go on, try it yourself. Benedict Cumberbatch. I'll be back next week, but in the meantime, please feel free to make your own recommendations by leaving a comment or tweeting with the hashtag GSWaitingGame. See you next week.